champion of the world, Anthony Joshua.
In the world of boxing, one thing is certain: legends are made and dreams are shattered. In many ways, it is like life. There are times when you are on top, undisputed, and to be feared. There are times when you hit rock bottom. Anthony Joshua's life story and boxing career serve as an incredible example of the unpredictable nature of a real champion. Joshua, who was born on October 15, 1989, in Watford, England, began his professional boxing career with a bang before suffering a devastating loss that nearly derailed him. This is the story of his redemption, an account of how he faced his demons, learned from them, and then went on to achieve greatness. Joshua's rise to boxing fame started when he was still an amateur and his natural talent was recognized. Joshua competed for England in the super heavyweight division at the 2011 World Championships, where he placed second and won the silver medal. He competed for Great Britain and won a gold medal at the 2012 Olympics. With that as the bedrock, he turned professional in 2013. In 2014, a year after turning professional, he was named Prospect of the Year by the Ring magazine. In 2017, his victorious fight against Vladimir Klitschko was named Fight of the Year by the Ring and the Boxing Writers Association of America. Joshua is the second English boxer, after James DeGale, to win both a gold medal at the Olympics and a world title by a major professional sanctioning body, as well as the first English heavyweight to do so. It all looks good at this point. The world of boxing was left in shock when Anthony Joshua suffered a crushing defeat at the hands of Andy Ruiz Jr. in June 2019. Before this fight, Andy Ruiz Jr. was a relatively unknown Mexican-American fighter. It was therefore shocking to see the previously undefeated unified heavyweight champion get knocked down 4 times, even before the fight was stopped in the 7th round. The result is considered one of the biggest upsets in boxing history and has drawn comparisons to Buster Douglas' defeat of Mike Tyson back in 1990. TalkSport actually ranks it as the second greatest upset in heavyweight boxing history, with the first being Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas. The newsroom calls it the shock of the century. It was indeed a shocking upset that left many wondering if Joshua's career was over, as he lost his undefeated record and his heavyweight titles. It was truly a humbling experience. Joshua commented afterwards, "It's an upset, isn't it? But the better man won. Respect to Andy. Now I move forward." Ruiz also made history as the first ever world heavyweight champion of Mexican heritage. The shards needed to be gathered up and reassembled. That's the life of a fighter, and Anthony Joshua did just that. Instead of wallowing in the typical post-loss feelings of disappointment and self-doubt, Joshua set out on a course of redemption. Joshua spent a few days in New York processing the defeat before surrounding himself with a committed group, including trainer Robert McCracken, who helped him rebuild his abilities and reshape his outlook. Joshua trained hard to perfect his footwork, hone his technique, and strengthen his defense. He started fighting more strategically, taking advantage of his longer reach and higher boxing IQ. However, Joshua had to overcome more than just physical obstacles on his way to redemption. He looked within, hoping to find the strength of character to carry him through difficult times. Joshua realized that failures are merely stepping stones to success and learned to value the fact that adversity makes champions stronger. His mental fortitude, which he had rediscovered, was crucial to his ultimate redemption. 6 months later, Anthony Joshua's redemption arc played out in a series of thrilling victories. With a show of tactical brilliance and unyielding determination on December 7, 2019, he won back his titles in a rematch against Andy Ruiz Jr. on the night. Joshua boxed a disciplined fight, using his jab and lateral movement to keep Ruiz at a distance and prevent them from trading punches like they did in their first meeting. His new strategy, developed with the help of McCracken, allowed him to box Ruiz for a full 12 rounds. Joshua's stick-and-move strategy contrasted sharply with the seek-and-destroy approach that made him a draw, but it worked. Joshua's ability to adjust to his opponent's style, outbox him, and reclaim his place among boxing's elite was on full display in this bout. Joshua consistently insists that he too, just like his icon Mike Tyson, will not be defined by a defeat. That attitude served him well in the Ruiz rematch and eventually led to a knockout of Kubrat Pulev, which was the fight that followed after the rematch. He was finally back to his ways of back-to-back wins and was seriously eyeing a huge title collision with Tyson Fury. In fact, the world and everybody in boxing wanted to see a showdown between Joshua and Fury, with the undisputed heavyweight championship in the balance. Pundits have called this potential clash one of the richest fights in boxing history. However, that was not to be. Alexander Usyk dealt him yet another defeat. The Ukrainians not only defeated Joshua but did so in dominant fashion, with Joshua ultimately losing out by a unanimous decision. Usyk's movement and variety in his fighting proved to be too much for Joshua, as Usyk nearly stopped the champion in the final seconds of the last round. This time, the effects were rippling. It was his second professional defeat, causing him to lose his WBA, IBF, IBO, and WBO belts in the process. He also had to part ways with Rob McCracken, the trainer who led him to both an Olympic gold medal and the heavyweight championship. The burden of training Joshua for a third heavyweight title reign has fallen on Robert Garcia, who has previously led 14 fighters to championships and been named Trainer of the Year by the Boxing Writers Association of America (BWAA). Alexander Usyk's promoter Alexander Krassyuk announced on September 29, 2021, 4 days after Usyk defeated Joshua to become unified world heavyweight champion, that a one-sided rematch clause specified in the fight contract had already been activated in principle from the side. A rematch between Usyk and Joshua was confirmed for August 20, 2022 in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. The announcement was made on June 19, 2022. This would be Usyk's first defense of his world heavyweight titles, while Joshua would be fighting for the 12th time in a row for the title in his quest to become a 3-time world heavyweight champion. Joshua's performance was a marked improvement from his previous defeat by Usyk, but it was not enough to prevent another loss. Usyk successfully defended his belts by a split decision, with one judge scoring the fight 115-113 to Joshua and the other two judges scoring it 115-113 and 116-112 in Usyk's favor. After the announcement of the judges' scorecards, Joshua threw two of Usyk's belts out of the ring and started to walk out of the arena, but came back and took hold of the microphone and gave an emotional speech talking about his life, fighting, Ukraine, and praising Usyk. Shortly after, Joshua was recorded backstage angrily responding to a bystander who had criticized him. In the post-fight press conference, Joshua broke down in tears. Tears that perhaps were a reminder of how much he has done and how far he has fallen. That slide and imagery of Joshua, sparked also by the first of 3 defeats in his 5 fights, halted before Joshua reached square one. But as it was said at the beginning of this video, resilience is a big part of every redemption story. All these setbacks and defeats still play a role in the grand scheme of things and have led him back to where it all started. On February 6, 2023, it was officially announced that Joshua would be returning to the ring on April 1 at the O2 Arena against Jermaine Franklin. The fight would mark the first fight as part of his exclusive 5-year deal with sports streaming service DAZN and exclusively signify part 2 of his redemption career. The hope was that this fight with Jermaine Franklin would be a return journey too, back towards the top. Back to something like his old self. On the night, Joshua had a tentative performance, initiating constant clinches. Despite a particularly cautious start to the fight, he made use of his jab to set up power punches with his right hand, prevailing via unanimous decision. That win came after more than 2 years without one and could only be a start, particularly something to build on, a stepping stone back towards bigger nights. In his post-fight interview, Joshua expressed his desire to face undefeated WBC champion Tyson Fury next, saying, "I would be 100% honored to compete for the WBC Championship of the world." As Anthony Joshua continues to carve out his legacy, his redemption story serves as a source of inspiration for fighters and fans alike. It reminds us that setbacks are temporary and that true strength lies in the ability to rise from the ashes. Joshua's determination, both inside and outside the ring, has transformed him into a global sports icon and a role model for aspiring athletes. In the end, Joshua's journey of redemption can be seen as a testament to the resilience, perseverance, and unwavering spirit of a true champion. From the devastating defeats that shook the boxing world all the way to his triumphant return to the pinnacle of the sport, Joshua's story is one of overcoming adversity, self-discovery, and unyielding dedication. It serves as a reminder that success is not defined by the absence of failure but by the ability to rise above it. Anthony Joshua's redemption is a saga that will forever be etched in the annals of boxing history, inspiring generations to come.